Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade, at Cousteau on Twitter, since I'm no longer verified on that hellhole. Today on the show, we've got the return of the legend next year, Jerry Lorenzo's debut with Adidas, more Nike and StockX drama, the week's hottest releases, and of course, a Hard Pass. But first, we've got big news. Maybe the most surprising retro sneaker news we've heard in a long time. Sound the alarms! The Galaxy foams are reportedly set to return in 2024. After a historic release over a decade ago, we could be on the verge of something special and big in the sneaker culture. But honestly, can a 2024 retro really recapture the magic of the original? Like, imagine this generation of sneakerheads and hypebeasts and casuals ditching their dunks and sambas and foam runners for foam posits. Sure, but then again, we kind of thought the same thing about another iconic early 2010s sneaker that recently got a retro, and it didn't really set anything on fire. More on this whole story later in the Hard Pass segment. All right, let's start with our hot takes, which is basically me looking at my Instagram feed and doom scrolling like I don't have a notification on my phone every week that I look at this app way too much already. So, a few weeks ago, Nigel Sylvester handed out friends and family versions of his Nike Airship Bike Air collab, much to the disappointment of people like me who felt left out and not cool enough to be on that list. Well, joke's on Nigel, because the retail version that's reportedly dropping in a few weeks with every game stitched on the heel instead of Bike Air, low-key better. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself for the next few weeks as I try to get myself a pair of these. Anyway, Burgundy Jordan 5s are on the way. Oh, come on. Who put that question mark in the teleprompter? See, there's enough. All right. Anyway, designer and artist Lorenzo G. Federici is taking his patented color schemes to Salomon with an official collab. The Salomon ACS Plus will be getting the gradient color treatment that we've seen on a lot of custom Air Maxes and foam runners lately. But I didn't know you could own the Sunset, but whatever. I guess Federici held the official title when it comes to that style, so congrats on the collab as we fulfill our contractual obligation to mention Salomon at least once every few weeks to keep up with the cool kids on Melrose and Fairfax. Cool news here, the next Godzilla vs. King Kong movie is going to be called Kong and Godzilla, The New Empire. And unlike the first movie, which was clearly a win for Godzilla and anybody who says otherwise is just wrong, the two will team up this time around. Probably because they didn't want to embarrass Kong again. Yes, I'm trolling King Kong fans. You didn't hear Denzel say, Godzilla ain't got on me, did you? No, he called out the monster he could take. Shout out to The Miz. So this past week on Monday Night Raw, he teased a super version of his finishing move, the skull-crushing finale against Seth freaking Rollins. Following in the great tradition of Kurt Angle, John Cena, and most recently Rhea Ripley, a super or avalanche finisher is basically the finishing move from the middle or top rope. Never thought I'd see The Miz break out with that variation this far along in his career, but man, he's probably going to hit it on a celebrity crazy enough to agree to take it. Logan Paul. KSI? I don't know. Kevin Durant debuted the Nike KD14 this past week. No, sorry. These are actually the wait, never mind. These are the 16s. Tomato. In this week's well, if this isn't the consequence of my action news, Patrick Reed is considering further legal action against the DP Tour, also known as the European Tour, after a ruling that would give the tour the authority to suspend live golfers like Reed and prevent them from playing in their events. These events are important to Reed because it lets him accumulate official world golf ranking points, which he doesn't get from the live exhibitions. And if he can't get those points, it could put his status in the majors in jeopardy. Sucks to be Pat, I guess, except for the fact that he knew this was a possibility when he took the live bag. It's like somebody should do a Don Draper impression for Pat and tell him, that's what the money is for. Hey, did you win the right to give sneakers $210 plus tax for a GR this week? No offense to people who like the Thunder 4s, but this isn't 2012 anymore. So, did you do it? Even though you swore off sneakers because you took L's for the past 82 weeks? You did it, didn't you? All that talk and you couldn't help yourself. Once you saw that notification, you had to check and see the magic words, shock drop, and you were hooked again. And that's why Nike will never lose. Here's some more images of the Union Air Jordan 1 for people to hate on before turning back around and saying, hey, these are growing on me, bro, once the official images drop and a release date pops up. ChatGPT has put together a list of the 10 greatest sneakers of all time. Now, on a different show, I would talk about how AI-generated content might seem like a fun distraction when it's turning Star Wars into a Hype Williams music video, or making Joe Biden do the West Side Gun ad-libs. Boom, 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 boom. But really, we should be concerned about what these programs could do to human creators in the future. But for that list, you can see that ChatGPT was pulling their info from legacy blogs and big media outlets and not just the comments and replies on Instagram and Twitter. Only one pair of Jordans and no Yeezys? You'll love to see it. All right, this is the Heat Check, where we bring you everything that's dropping this week. First up, we have the Nike ISPA Mind Body in Volt and Black on the 25th for $180. We have the Action Bronson New Balance 990 V6. This is actually an EU release, and that's going to be on the 25th for $220 as well. The Nike ISPA Universal Natural on the 25th for $80. Anuel Reebok Question Mid Double Toe, that's on the 25th for $170. The women's Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Low Olive on the 26th for $150. LeBron James Nike Air Force 1 4 Horsemen on the 27th for $140. The Disney Adidas Samba Vegan Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse on the 27th for $100 each. The Nike ACG Water Cap Plus in Court Purple is on the 28th for $125. The Nike Air Max 1 Denim Leopard is on the same day for $160. The Nike Dunk Low Panda, another restock obviously, is on the 28th as well for $110. The Off-White Nike Air Force 1 Pine Green is on the same day for $205. The Bad Bunny Adidas Campus Wild Moss is on the 29th for $160. Then we have the Air Jordan 1 Low Golf in Volt Black Toe. That's on the 30th for $140. And then, of course, our pick of the week is the Air Jordan 3 Wizards on the 29th for $210. Look, I'm not going to take credit for this release. I'm not. I don't think our constant pining for this once player exclusive was what ultimately convinced Jordan Brand to finally drop these for us consumers to buy. I mean, somebody who used to work here was convinced that he single-handedly made the Nike Air Penny 1 home drop, but I'm not like him. I have too much class and dignity and self-respect. And that's why everybody watching this show right now should let the world know that I, Jacques Slade, through the many segments on Hard Pass when we talked about Nike and Michael Jordan's deliberate erasure of his time in Washington, was the man who shamed the biggest brand in the world into giving the people what they want, the Air Jordan 3 Wizards. And now that that's taken care of, there's still plenty of business getting a retro Jordan jersey in the Wizards color, and more importantly, a Jordan, okay, I'm going too far. We'll settle for the Wizards one. There's no way the other one is ever going to happen, and I have to acknowledge that. Big shout out to the fam over at Hype Golf. So they're recognizing the OG of the double swoosh, the late great Seve Ballesteros, decades before Shitos Abe turned the sneaker game on its head with her Sakai waffles. We need that improvised visor to drop, Nike Golf. Come on, make it happen. Stop playing. Ugh. Gotta call out Sneaker News for misspelling Pusha T's iconic ad-lib when they featured his upcoming Adidas Supernova 7 Thorn collab. It's not E-E-U-G-A-H-K, guys. It's ugh. We will also accept ugh as an alternate spelling.
Like either Y-U-U-G-H or just U-U-G-H. But it's usually Y-U-U-G-H. I gotta look at my rap books.
Look, man, I don't make the rules. I just reinforce them. Boom, 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 boom. Anyway, in the latest twist in the Nike and StockX saga, a newly unsealed order reveals that a judge has asked Nike to produce more documentation about their authentication processes and how they were able to determine that the sneakers they purchased from the platform were fake. That's a significant win for StockX. Although I doubt that will change the perception about them in either direction. I think a lot of people have already made up their mind about StockX and other resellers at this point, and the ball is ultimately in Nike's court to fix the problem, aka make more shoes, or aka pre-orders. Anyway, according to Ryan Reynolds, he convinced Hugh Jackman to come back to play Wolverine, a role I swore I heard him swear he would never come back to after the amazing 2017 film Logan, by telling him that it was going to be such a different version of what he had played in the previous X-Men films that it was practically new. I mean, yeah, Logan was a perfect end to that version of Wolverine. Can't really go back on that, even though Deadpool can time travel and retcon everything he wants, basically. Ryan could have just told Hugh, yo, into the Wolvieverse, across the Wolvieverse, whatever the you want. It's gonna be so confusing anyway. I'm sure Kevin Feige will figure it out, so yeah. 5 claws? Here's an alleged picture of a warehouse full of reimagined Air Jordan 1s that was part of the restock that took place on 420. Naturally, the shock drop was botched because of course it was botched, and it left a lot of people unhappy, but not unhappy enough to delete the app and say they're buying New Balances from now on. And once again, this is why Nike keeps winning. The Fear of God Adidas shoe has finally been revealed after a sample that had three glaring issues when it surfaced a few weeks back. This quick look shared on Instagram was certainly better than the leaks, but we're gonna need some more looks and an official reveal before we can give a take on it. But I gotta say, if I'm James Harden, I'm looking at this and giving Jerry Lorenzo a call sooner rather than later. He's got momentum with the Harden Volume 7, and a team up with Fear of God could not come at a better time. James Whitner of the Whitaker Group and Armour Manière held a free game session at the Harvard Business School, and he was pictured wearing what we're going to assume is an upcoming version of the Air Jordan 5 Armour Manière, since the colors do have that Harvard vibe if you stare at them and zoom in on them hard enough, I guess. If these aren't called the Harvard 5s or the Jeremy Lin 5s, I'm going to be super disappointed in the culture. All right, it's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go. Like the people who are hating on season 3 of The Mandalorian. Holy Grogu, man. It's like The Last Jedi again out here in these streets. No spoilers, but yo, Star Wars fandom, y'all gotta chill. We just got Andor, arguably the best Star Wars thing this century, so anything that was following that was going to be a tall task, even for the cutest thing in the Outer Rim and Joel from The Last of Us. The first 2 seasons were brilliant, almost single-handedly justifying a Disney Plus subscription. But after all of the announcement at Star Wars Celebration, yesterday's degree of difficulty is not today's degree of difficulty. Eventually, all of these shows are going to have to tie in somehow to fit whatever crossover movie Dave Filoni has in store for all of us. Getting messy was inevitable. Yes, season 3 of Mando was a little sloppy compared to season 1 and 2, but to call it the worst of the Disney shows, that's a stretch, bro. Not when all of those non-Mando episodes of Book of Boba Fett exist. The only thing I'm bummed about is now I have to go back and really pay attention to Rebels and Clone Wars. There's too many seasons, man. But I'm in because this is all just fun and not to be taken seriously like the freaking Darksaber, yo. I have spoken. All right, now this week's other hard pass goes to everybody's wishful thinking that 2024 is going to be this renaissance of the Nike Air Foamposite 1. So, like we mentioned earlier in the show, the Galaxy Foamposites are reportedly set to return in 2024 for the first time in 12 years. There's no release date, official images, or even leaks of what they look like, but that hasn't stopped the buzz about foams making a comeback. It's mostly coming from sneakerheads and hypebeasts who were outside in 2012 when the Sneakers app was just an empty space in Mark Parker's vision board. They are really, really pumped for the foams to return, as if it's going to bring us back to the time when we still lined up for sneakers. Nike Talk was the place to go for insider information, and blogs were copy and pasting the info they found on Nike Talk and calling that reporting. As a blogger during that era, I should take offense to that joke, but it's also not wrong. Anyways, foams were huge in the late aughts and early 2010s. Rappers like Wale were rocking them, and the East Coast sneaker scene was big into foams, in particular New York City and the DMV. The eggplant colorway of the Foamposite 1 was huge when they dropped in 2009 and 2010. Imagine a sneaker being so huge that they retroed it a year later. And as the Foamposites and its cousin, the Foamposite Pro, grew in popularity, we got to see them in all sorts of colorways. Maybe you've heard of some of them. Cough drops, pewters, electric greens, retro, aka the South Beach. It was a lot, man. And it culminated with the release of the Galaxy colorway during All-Star Weekend 2012. You might remember the fuss for them, especially in Orlando where the All-Star game was taking place. Even after the Galaxy foams, people were still heavy into foams until they weren't. Then we started getting the foams with the graphics on them, like the Weathermans and the heat maps. The foam's decline wasn't sudden, but you could track the hype for them dissipating, honestly, in real time. And that's why I think whatever form this 2024 retro of the Galaxy Foam takes, whether it's a one-to-one retro of the 2012 model, or it's going to feature slight tweaks so people can tell the difference, it's not going to be the return to the glory some are hoping for. Like, don't get me wrong, I would like for people to move on to foams, but I don't really care if it's foams or something else. I just don't want to have to talk about Jordan 1s and dunks all day like we have for the past 7 years. I just don't see kids ditching their dunks for foams. The first reason is the pricing. You can get 2 Panda dunks for 1 pair of foams. That's the math for the most basic of people. If you want to get even more granular, you can even get a pair of Nike dunks, some Chuck Taylors, Vans old schools, and have some change left over before you reach the $240 price point for foams. The second reason is comfort. Yes, I know dunks, chucks, and old schools aren't the pinnacle of comfort, but they are way easier to wear than foams. And then the third reason is fit. In the late aughts, matching your clothes to your sneakers was the move. I mean, it's always been the move, but you had to be real specific with your gear if you wanted it to match your foams. Now, it's not that serious. It's about versatility. Panda dunks are the bane of the OGs, but they really do work with everything. Foams do not work with just anything, so I don't see the comeback happening. Sorry. If the Nike LeBron 8 South Beach can't return like it did a few years ago and not set new highs in hype and resale value, the foams are an even longer shot to get big again. The reality is that nostalgia for sneakers that blew up in the 2010s, the 2013s, just isn't there yet. Apologies to the late Kobe Bryant, but his Pro-Tros were sitting at Nike outlet stores before his passing made people gross and opportunistic. I imagine the KD 4 Galaxy Retro will suffer the same fate as the LeBron 9 Big Bang Retro. It will sell to the dedicated fans, but if you just wait a few weeks or months, you'll be able to find them on sale or on clearance. Kids aren't going to ditch their fits for foams. The foams will sell, but it will sell to the same clientele that bought them in 97, 2009, and 2015 and didn't learn when the chrome posits peeled. Catch me in 2034 and see if my opinion changes then. All right, that's going to do it for the show today. Thank you guys for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week, but not before I leave you with a viewer Hard Pass.
Maybe it's just my algorithm on YouTube, but I work too hard for the comments to tell me my shoes are either rips or fakes. I work a 9 to 5. I use my 4 payment apps, and I work too hard for fake shoes. Have a good day.
Oh, man. Play the clip. Never, never, ever look in the comments of those sneaker accounts on Instagram. All they will do is make you hate sneakers. Look at the pictures of the sneakers, maybe read the caption, but never look at those comments. Every shoe is either the greatest or worst thing ever made with zero nuance. Like what you like, buy what you like, wear what you like, and log off because you don't need to have people like what you like. All right. If you'd like to possibly be featured in a future episode, call us at 818-493-9325. Leave a short message, your socials if you want, no more than 30 seconds. All right. I'll see you next week. Peace.